Hello Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for ThermOWeb, and I'm sharing with you this layout that I created using primarily deco foil flock. I am using black, white, as well as the Rena K neon orange, and I'm creating that Halloween layout. So to start with, I'm going to prime my paper by using some gesso. This is clear gesso that I am using on white cardstock. I want to create a mixed media background. I want to create a night sky on which to put some flocked clouds and some flocked stars. The bats that I used could have also been out of the black flock, but they were done out of cardboard because I cut them with a cut file along with the black cat that is sitting on the moon. So I want to create a night sky, so I have some black mixed media. I cannot remember what it is that I'm using, if I'm being completely honest. I had some Nouveau spray that had some shimmer to it. That was nowhere near thick enough. So, this is actually Claudine Helmuth, I believe, from ages ago. So I stirred in a little bit of that thinner Nouveau spray, hoping that I could get some of the shimmer in there, but you don't really see it, and that's fine. So I know I have, you saw there you go, the crescent moon that I cut out, and so the rest of what I'm using is Bella Boulevard. So I just kind of want that circular shape of what would have been the full moon. And just to create a bit of a darker scene per se, I am just inking up the edges of this crescent moon here, just to add a little bit more of that eerie sort of spooky effect. I'm going to set that all aside to dry so that I can create the remainder of this layout. So while that is drying, I am also, what I want is, I wanted a little bit of that shimmer, so I'm using that Nouveau that I actually started with, and now I have some white just to look like the stars in the sky, and then I am also going to grab some purple, and that just, it's very subtle. In fact, looking at the layout now as I speak, you can barely see the purple, but it adds just that subtle touch to it. So now I want to cut out the clouds. I am not going to back them on foam because I want to pop them where I want to pop them. So I am using some of that Easy Cut adhesive. I'm putting that directly onto the back of the flock, and then I'm going to run that through my manual die cut machine. You can see I have a piece of white, just plain old pattern paper, plain white printer paper on the bed of my Big Shot there, and the reason I'm using that is because I have very well used plates, and I feel like you lose the smoothness of the flock if you embed directly down into the plates. So what I'm doing is trying there to minimize the amount of texture from my plates onto my flock. So you can see where I get rid of the printer paper and then just pop out the clouds. Now they are very crisp and white, more like a blue sky sunny day, and I want to Halloween them up a little bit more and give them more of a spooky, eerie feel. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get two different types of ink. I'm going to use a distress ink. This is not an oxide. This is just one of my regular squares. This is the gray. And then I am also going to use the green, which you'll see right there. And that is not a distress. I'm sure it's one of my chalk inks that I have. And so just the two different colors just add a little bit of different texture to the layout there. And so I have those for layering, and then I am also going to run through my die cut machine the neon flock and some black flock in order to get some stars. These I do want to be dimensional, so I'm going to put those on some foam, so you can see that there. And I could have just used a regular star die, but I happen to have this multi-purpose texture die here, and so that is what I'm using. And so you can see I'm just going to cut the bits and pieces so that they fit in the outline of the stars. Again, you could use any star die. This just happened to be the one that was on my table because I had been playing with that background earlier. And so that is what I am going to cut out the stars for my Halloween sky, night sky with. And again, it's easy. You just roll it through your die cut machine and you have dimensional embellishments, really. You could do that with any shape that you wanted. So now I've got all my bits and pieces. It's time to assemble the layout. So I have two photos. There are four of us in the family, and each one of us carved a pumpkin. So between the two, I have all four of our finished carved pumpkins. They are lit. It is not dark. I took this picture at a sunset-ish, really, because I wanted you to be able to see more than just the pumpkin. Especially given that some of the pumpkins were, it was difficult to tell. The snail that you see there, if it wasn't in a somewhat lit situation, you wouldn't know that it was a snail when it's just lit up and it's completely black. So I felt that these pictures were a better way of representing our pumpkins. So now I'm just going to layer up the clouds. I have a black cat and I have a couple of bats. So all of those things that one thinks of as Halloween-y sort of characteristic symbols, I am going to, well, not all, but some of them I'm going to put on the page as embellishments. But what I love about ThermOWeb flock is that you could literally do anything and create your own embellishments. Last year I did ghosts as well as pumpkins, I believe. I think I might even have done a spider web, I believe. And so this year you've got clouds. I do this a lot with clouds. I like to use the flock for clouds because it has that nice puffy texture to it. And this is the cut file. So with the crescent moon has the cats as well as the bats, I believe. And so I'm just adding in these clouds and stars. Actually, it does have stars, but I wanted to have those neon stars as a complement to the pumpkins. There is an orange flock, but I wanted this neon because I felt like it glowed in the night sky. Differently than the way that the regular orange did. So again, just sort of layering up all of these different bits and pieces. I like to have trios of things on my page because it creates I can use the trio to create a visual triangle to move your eye around the page. So you can see the one cloud underneath the cat, the black cat there, and then I'm going to have two other clusters, so a total of 3 clusters of the clouds that move your eye through the page. I toyed with the placement of those pictures, whether they would obscure the crescent moon as it's just done here, or whether I would leave that orange to the left of the photos. And the reason that I went with the arrangement that I did is, you know that it's a crescent moon and you can see that, and I felt like I needed a little bit of space between the photos and that black cat there. I am going to put one of the flocked stars, which will fill in that gap, but I wanted that gap. It's almost, while it's black, it's a black white space that kind of gives your eye somewhere to rest in the layout, because really with the mixed media as well as all of those embellishments, it is, while there aren't a lot of embellishments on the page, it is a rather busy page, especially with that crisp brightness of the Rena K neon flock there. So you can see that I did layer up the clouds up the top where that spider is, and I did not need to put them on foam as I normally would if I layered them, because I've got the shading from the inks that I've edged the clouds with. I didn't feel like it really needed that dimension. Plus I have that spider sitting on there, and I didn't want the spider to end up sitting at an angle, which is what would have happened unless I'd also popped the spider up off the page as well. So just interspersing the bats, around the page, again, just for that little kind of oomph to finish off the page. And then I'm going to use these stickers that come with this collection to just sort of put a header and a footer so that you don't float off the page. So that, my friends, is going to wrap up my Halloween layout. I am going to use some thickers for a title that says carved. I don't like that the V looks like a U, but that's the way it comes, and so that's what I'm going to go with. And then I will off camera journal just in that bottom left hand space there, and you will see that in the close-up. So if you have any questions about the ThermOWeb product, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you are doing well, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of the Halloween costume pictures and pumpkins coming up shortly. I hope you're doing well. Take care. Come back again soon.